Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking more about the FSU and ACC lawsuit, and now we're going to be talking about what it means for the Pac-12 to be classified as a non-autonomous FBS conference.
Okay. First off, I was going to say this is one of those few shows that all four of our segments are going to be all sports related,
I know,
which is kind of weird for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, um, but tomorrow's non-sports show is a doozy.
So stay tuned. Tate picked this one out, so be careful.
It is so true that I picked this one.
Yeah.
I
I just
saw
want to let
it.
that be known, and I will let that be known tomorrow as well.
So, but it's because we like to let our hair down a little bit right around this point or the next segment. As
Yeah.
you see, I cut all mine off here.
All gone.
Yes,
I
is
will
it
not be letting
weird?
my hair down.
No,
Y'all
you
don't
got
want
it
to
all
see.
slick. See, it's all you
Y'all don't want
you
to
gotta
see
slick
that.
back. No. See, you even with the slick back hair, you can kind of see what it would look like. Not everybody can pull that slick back hair. They got that big watermelon head. You can't have a big old watermelon head or your forehead start back here.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have that big giant forehead and be like
Well, I
bald.
appreciate you saying I don't have a big head. I was told all throughout school that I had a big head, so I appreciate it.
Wait a minute though. You got to remember, you're talking middle school, high school. You're a small girl or lady, and boys like to pick on girls. That was just them. They were picking on you because they had a little crush on you. That was all.
Whatever. Okay. All right. Moving away from that.
All right.
So our third segment for today is what it means for the Pac-12 to be classified as a non-autonomous FBS conference. So the Pac-12 Conference, which will drop down to 2 members this summer, will no longer be an autonomous conference. The NCAA Division I Board of Directors determined on Monday, which is effective on August 2nd. It will instead be classified as a non-autonomous FSB conference like the Group of Five. The board created new governance thresholds for conferences that fall below membership requirements. As a result, the Pac-12 will lose representation on the board of directors. It will retain representation and voting rights on the Division I Council, the Football Oversight Committee, and the Division I Student Athlete Advisory Committee when applicable. Excuse me, sir.
See, now I was gonna correct you, but
Applicable.
then I can't now. I can't say it.
Yeah. It's like once you get in
Ooh,
your
I can't
head,
do it.
applicable, I think. Anyway, but y'all know what I mean. But the weight of
Applicable.
its council vote will be diminished. Multi-sport conferences are required to have at least 8 members, but in the event they drop below that number, they are allowed a 2-year grace period to get back up. The Pac-12 will lose 10 schools to the Big Ten, Big 12, and ACC this summer, leaving only Oregon State and Washington State. The board's determinations on Monday applied to conferences in that grace period. In 2014, the board created a new autonomy model granting the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC the ability to make some of their own rules together, which happened the next year with full cost of attendance scholarships. The autonomy group became known as the Power Five, and regularly held its own meetings, but didn't do much else legislatively with the autonomy power. The other 5 FBS conferences became known as the Group of Five, with most of those schools eventually adding cost of attendance as well. The 2-member Pac-12 will now be a part of that lower group, although it will not hold official conference games for the next 2 years. Instead, Oregon State and Washington State have agreed to play most of their sports in the Mountain West, including football for 2024, and West Coast Conference, including basketball for the next 2 years. But football will not be eligible for Mountain West championships or standings. Oregon State baseball will play on independent schedule. After that, the future is uncertain. The Pac-12 and Mountain West signed an agreement in the fall to work in good faith to merge by 2025-26 or 2026-27 seasons with no cost if the Pac-12 absorbs every Mountain West school, or a cost of upwards of $137.5 million if it takes some but not all of the Mountain West schools. But Oregon State and Washington State are focused first on joining an autonomous conference, and the uncertainty surrounding the future of college sports could spark another upheaval.
This here shows me
this
that
is all just so messy today.
Oh, this shows me today the Pac-12 is dead. The Pac-12 is officially dead.
Yeah.
Which
is so unfortunate. I really had high hopes for them.
It didn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
I think Oregon State and Washington State they had a great opportunity and they let it slip through their fingers. And because when this season ended, I thought the very first thing they would do is merge with the Mountain West. The commissioner of the Mountain West would become the commissioner of the Pac-12. They bring in all the Mountain West schools and join them with the two Pac-12 schools that were left. You'd have a full conference. They'd still have full voting rights, and then they would fight to keep those rights. But weeks and then months went by, and they didn't bring anyone into the Pac-12 and decided that they were just going to sit there as two schools. This is a death sentence for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 will never, ever, ever be the Pac-12 that we know ever again. If they had done the merger, there would have been a great chance, because you could have brought in all those schools from the Mountain West, merged them in, and just, and then you would have had a new conference. Mm-hmm. Then you start looking at the fact that they've been holding off and more concerned about making sure that they got as much of the money from those schools that were leaving. That was their only, I feel like that was those two schools' only focus, was making sure they got a chunk of cash and kept the Pac-12 network. That was their big goal. The Pac-12 network, the run, cost them $50 million a year to run. And so I felt like there should have been two tasks that the Pac-12 should have done. Their top two goals in order should have been, number one, merge with the Mountain West, or merge with the American, merge with another conference and consume those teams, and then assure that the Pac-12 is still there. They didn't do that, and so wait around, this vote comes in, and now there's no more Pac-12. The Pac-12, it's still there, but it will never be a Power 5 conference again. It's now a group of 6 conference, meaning that when you start dividing up the money, the group of 5 always gets the lion's share, and whatever's left goes to the group of 5, which now would be the group of 6. No one, as you know this, Faith, you've been watching what's been going on with the money, right? Mm-hmm. Do you see a situation where the Pac-12 says, hey, we finally got our act together. We brought in these new schools. Now we're going to be a new conference. We want our voting rights back. We want equal share in the money, and equal control on the college football playoffs and all the rights that come with that. What have you seen through this whole process that says the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 are going to say, hey, we're going to relinquish some of our power, relinquish some of our money, so that you can become a prestigious power conference again? It's never going to happen again. You've lost that power. It's gone. It's kind of like Montana being part of the Pac-12 once upon a time. Once Montana went down to a lower conference, they never were going to be allowed to come back to the Pac-12 or be considered a power conference again. You look at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech decided to leave the SEC. Right to this day, do you think Georgia Tech would love to be back in the ACC, in the SEC again, especially what's going on with the Pac-12, with the ACC? Once you lose that power, it is very hard to reclaim that power ever again. So this is truly the death of the SEC, of the Pac-12. Secondly, when you look at some of the deals that they're not doing deals as in, hey, we want to rebuild the Pac-12. They're saying like $25, $30 million. We want a scheduling allowance with the Mountain West. We want a scheduling allowance with the West Coast Conference. When they're doing a lot of their scheduling, their big emphasis has been, when they're looking at their scheduling for this season and for next season coming up and for future seasons, they're not setting their schedule up in a way so that they can create a new conference. They're setting their schedule up so that they're having relationships with the Big 12 and the ACC, hoping that the ACC or the Big 12 will consume them and they can join one of those conferences. These two schools have not been acting like a conference that is gearing up to rebuild a conference, because they would have never let this vote happen. The smart move would have been, hey, we need to get the schools in place. We can't sit here as a two-school conference for very long before this is going to come up to vote. So they should have been like announcing right away, these schools we're going to be merging with the Mountain West. These 5 schools or these 10 schools or these schools are all going to be coming part of the Pac-12. You notice they haven't done this. They drug their feet, because I think there's some people that want to keep the Pac-12 there, but there's enough people that's like, we want to set ourselves up to be invited into the Big 12 or the ACC. I think a lot of these chancellors are looking at what's going on with Miami, Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson, and saying, listen, these guys are going to leave. And when they do, we're going to pounce. And they're setting, that's why I look at what they've been doing as in setting themselves up more to be consumed by the Pac-12 or the ACC, and less on the last couple of months on how to get more schools. Because there hasn't been any rumors. It started out rumors on they were going to merge with the Mountain West. They're going to merge with the Mountain West. It kept talking about that. And then it just kind of stopped. And it was all about securing money. They got the bag here. Hey, we got the bag. We're getting the college basketball bag. We're going to get the Rose Bowl money. We're going to get these universities that are leaving to agree to pay this amount of money. But there was no big announcement about, hey, they've secured San Diego State to come to the Pac-12. They've secured Boise State to come to the Pac-12. I kept waiting for these kind of announcements to come up, and not one of them came up, not once. Now, you roll around and you see, this vote is coming, Faith. And you have no talks going on with the merging in the Mountain West or any schools joining with the Pac-12, and this vote comes up, this vote is coming up. There's no reason to vote to say, yes, we want the Pac-12 to stay a Power 5 school. You've done nothing to keep the Pac-12 a Power 5 school. And now the Pac-12, even if they rebuild the Pac-12, the best it could be is the Mountain West or American Conference. That's the best they can do now. So if they don't pull off the whole I'm going to the Big 12 or the ACC, if that doesn't work, those two schools are going to end up Power Five schools, which is incredible. It's a risky move they're making, but they shoved all their ships in the middle and saying, hey, we're setting ourselves up to go to another conference, not create a new conference.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say on that?
It's a lot of information. I mean, if they
College football is messy, is it not?
yeah, if they manage, which I don't, definitely not going to happen, but if they manage to get those 8 members, then they could be fine with where they are right now.
They're never gonna get. Let's say they get 8 new members. Let's say you pick Boise State, Nevada, South Carolina, San Diego State, Colorado State, and UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Why would these schools? They're already in a Group of 5 conference. That's not gonna. The big thing of going to the Pac-12 was they were already designated a Power 5 conference. So that's the attraction to going there. Now these schools, there's no attraction to go there and say, hey, we're gonna go from one Group of 5 school to a conference to another Group of 5 conference. It doesn't benefit them because no one's going to vote to say, hey, we're going to make you a Group of 5. Because if you did, you'd just vote for the Mountain West to become a Group of 5, and no one's voting that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? You made it like I was yelling at you. You're like, wow.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I hate this. I just hate to see it go away.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever jersey outsells the Dallas Cowboys' entire team's jersey sales for the whole year. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.